Do we make workplaces inclusive of people with disabilities? What is business as unusual? Two young disabled people making their way in the world of business and business of life. Danielle and Michael swap stories and experiences of the sometimes oppressive diversions along the way. People with disabilities and their inclusion in the workplace are no longer absent from the business agenda. Disability inclusion now features in many policies and is fast gaining momentum in business strategies. So let's hear it from Danielle and Michael.
So hi Danielle.
Hiya.
How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad yet.
I think the last time I saw you, well, we've been speaking in different events and all that, but
Yeah.
the funniest thing is when we get asked to do this film, then we were at school.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about how we'd known each other for a lot longer than the last few months when we've been back in touch.
Yeah, and that wasn't yesterday, Danielle.
No, it wasn't. Unfortunately, it wasn't. When you start to do the maths, you realise how long it's been.
And I think like we've been busy over the past couple of years. I mean, we'll get into speak about that in a minute, stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so you were 2 years below me at school.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
You knew me when my hair was normal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my hair was pink up until last night, but I thought,
of course it was.
Yeah, but I thought I would just rinse it out and stuff, dig my hair, and forgot to shave.
Yeah.
Never mind. So so after school you went to college?
Yeah, I went to college.
Yeah.
Did the HNC, well, NC before that, and then HNC and HND and media related subjects.
Whereabouts was that?
It was James Watt in Corinne. It's now Ayrshire College.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Because you're from Ayrshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we went to school, we were in a school, Ashcraig, that was in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And people all over West Central Scotland went to Ashcraig. So yeah, but I'm from Ayrshire.
How did you find the travelling? Because it was a bit of a, it was okay. I mean, I suppose you get used to it after 6 years, but every day it was a bit tiring.
I was quite fortunate because I was the last pickup and the first drop off, so I was quite fortunate that way.
Oh, you were lucky, yeah. I was like the last to get dropped off and the first to get picked up.
Yeah. But like you say, you kind of just get used to it.
Yeah, after about 6 years you do.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then when I went on to college, it was about the same because like I was staying in Barheg at the time, so like I had to get picked up early in the morning, and by the time I came home it was dark, so like, it was a full-time job.
Yeah, again I was quite fortunate that way because the college was only about 20 minutes from where I stayed in Kilburn, so it was okay.
So like see when you went to college, Danielle, did you get like all the support that you needed?
With a bit of a challenge. I found that because I was able to do mainstream courses, it was kind of, the opinion was taken that it's okay, Danielle's on a mainstream course, she can manage, which I can academically, but obviously due to my CP, I need support with personal care and all that kind of things throughout the day. So I still needed a bit of assistance. So that was a bit of a challenge, but because once I did the HNC, I was entitled to funding from SAS that funded that. So it was a bit more straightforward once I applied for that.
And how long was your course, Danielle?
I went to college for 3 years.
Oh.
And then when I decided to go on to uni to do my honours, because I had the HND, I was able to go into the third year at uni. So that meant I only had to do 2 years at uni to get my honours degree.
And I take it that school was, college was totally different to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you meet like new people? Did you meet
I met some new people. I guess you did the same, I would hope.
Yeah, well, I went to Marlow College, and yeah, because basically what I'm Danielle was between my school, our school, sorry, to Marlow College. Like most of the pupils went to school, went to the same college, so I knew some people that was going up with me, but also I knew different people. I also got introduced to different people as well, and that was nice.
Yeah, but you've also told me that you kind of found it difficult because you had done like an access course, and I think we both kind of discussed and agreed they're great and obviously have their place, but the danger is you're often left on those access courses for like 5 years. But you've told me that you had the courage to speak up and say that that wasn't right for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose that Danielle, I mean, you've got to know me over the past like couple years, maybe. Like we've been working together at different events, and it wasn't until I was speaking to you about this that we're going to do this, and I was saying to you that like a lot of people has different levels of the difficulties through their own disability and stuff, but I thought a bit like, well, maybe this is when you were a bit different to me, but when I went to college, I thought like going to college, like you get a qualification and a job, but the course that I was on, Daniel, it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, you said it was sort of all disabled people. It was not really, without any disrespect to anyone, was not really a purpose at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically going back to what I would describe as primary school and doing it all again. You know, like basic maths and basic English and stuff. And that wasn't really for me.
Yeah. And sometimes I think these courses are often geared to, again, people with more of a cognitive disability, which isn't great because not everybody, as you've just said, not everybody's the same.
No, I mean, like, I was capable of a lot more than that. And so I did, like, the first year, it was a 2-year course, Daniel. But, like, on the first year, it was like basic maths, basic English, and all that. And, like, and this is when your course was slightly different to mine because it was a disability course, that a bit like when we had at school, Daniel, when like we had like a case review meeting. So that means everybody was in the room speaking about me, even though I was there. So it was made up of like my mum and dad, and you know my social worker and my tutors and stuff. And I think for me, because I was ready to go to leave college and I didn't know what was on the horizon, then I thought, well, I'm going to take the bull by the horns here and say that the course I'm doing is it's quite basic. So like my case review meeting was coming up because I was ready to leave college that summer, and so I had a meeting with my mum and dad.
Sorry. That's my doorbell. Sorry.
So, but yeah,
the joys of working from home.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the joys of working from home. Yeah, but yeah. So I went to my mum and dad, and I said to them, "I'm not happy with my course," and they were like that. Well, why are you not happy with your course? And I told them about it, and I said that it was too basic, and because I thought going to college was a bit like you, Danielle, was get a qualification and a job, but it wasn't. That didn't work that way for me, and I went to see what other courses that they were available, and I was lucky enough to get on the access free business admin, and then I moved up to intermediate 1.
So that gave you more of a journey to go on.
Yeah,
something at the end of it.
Yeah, it made me feel better because you actually get a real qualification.
Yeah.
And but up until that, I was kind of losing the will to live a wee bit.
Yeah. I think that's the thing though, that when you move into like adult education, when you're in school, you're in sort of a nice wee safe bubble, and then you hit adulthood and you're like, oh God, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. It's funny how you ever say in a bubble. I use that word every day. Like when we talk about bubbles and labels and all that. But so I got on that course, and like I thought my tutors would be happy for me because I thought they would like to see somebody develop, but like they never showed it in a way, and that was a bit disappointing. And obviously they couldn't come out and say, Michael, you can't do it because you've got a disability, but they were hinting that in a kind of way that they were, they were dancing about it. And that was a bit disappointing,
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar experience because at one stage I felt it was probably the journalism route I wanted to go down, specifically because I enjoyed the media studies part of the thinking more specifically at one stage. And then, so the Cardone College had done a course on a specific course in journalism. So one of my tutors at James Watt said, maybe you should apply for that if it's journalism you want to specialise in. So I'd gone for an initial chat, and within about 30 seconds, the person who had done the interview had basically shot me down and said, well, if you can't do shorthand, you can't do journalism. And I'd gone back to my tutor at James Watt, and I was pretty frustrated and upset by this point. And I'd said to her, if you think I'm wasting my time doing media, I'd rather you tell me now than me wasting another year or whatever. And she said, I don't know why they even said that to you, Danielle, because you only really need shorthand if you're doing court reporting, which you can easily do. You can easily do all aspects of journalism and not court reporting. As it turned out, I've taken a totally different career path since then. But at that time, about a year, I felt very disheartened by it.
Yeah, see when people say that to you, Daniel, I don't know about you, but at that time I was a bit, I wasn't, I wasn't very confident.
Yeah, it makes you question your abilities and think, can I
Yeah,
really do it? Are they right?
yeah, I know, because you feel as though to say that, well, I know myself better than anybody else.
That's it. Nobody knows you better than yourself.
Yeah, and you're the same, like,
Yeah.
you know, and stuff, but it does kind of knock your confidence in a way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So after college, what, and you went on to university?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. And I did the 2 years to get my undergraduate degree, but graduated with my undergraduate degree and let me do the maths. So well, I think it was 2008, and then I think it was around about the September of 2008. One of my uni lecturers got back in touch with me to let me know that the uni had this sort of employment opportunity that was being funded by the Glasgow Centre of Inclusive Living. So they were specifically looking for a disabled person to take on the role of a research assistant. And I applied and was successful. So for 9 months, I worked. I went back to uni, but as an employee, as opposed to a student. But I guess by that point, I was in a nice, safe bubble again because I'd been at UWS as a student for 2 years, so everybody knew me. So when I went back there as an employee, although my role was different, the environment and the people around me weren't different. So again, it was a nice, safe bubble. But I did that for 9 months, which kind of gave me experience of being an employee instead of a student, and gave me the opportunity to put what I'd learned as a student into practice as a employee, I guess. And then at the end of those 9 months, my line manager, who was also my supervisor when I did my undergraduate dissertation, he said to me, I think you should go back to uni and do your PhD. But before you do that, I would go and do the MSc in research methods to allow you to develop those skills. So I did. So I did the research methods master degree for a year, and then I went and did my PhD for another 4 years.
See, when you were talking there about like being in bubbles and all that, like looking back now, right? I wish. I mean, don't get me wrong. The school was brilliant that we went to, but I just feel as though if I had to start my life again, but I don't think they would get set me a 37-year-old back at school.
No.
But like, if they were going to do that, I would prefer to be going to a mainstream school, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can totally see your point there. Possibly if you were to do it now, it'd be more easier than it was for us then. Because before I went to Ashcraig, I was in mainstream primary. So I've had the experience of both mainstream and special education. And my parents were quite supportive, and at the end of primary 7 said to me like it was my decision whether I stayed in mainstream or went to Ashcraig as it was when we were there, and it was my decision to go to Ashcraig. And like you said, maybe if you could do it all again now, it would be different because schools are supposed to be more inclusive now in mainstream and stuff. So technically, they should be able to support people with disabilities better. But at the same time, I strongly believe that if I had gone to asked Craig, and if I'd continued in mainstream, I wouldn't have gained the qualifications I have now. If I'd stayed in mainstream, and like they supported me to go back to mainstream to go to college and stuff. So I think Ash Craig really kind of started me on the journey that I'm still on now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the other thing about the school was as well that I didn't really have any pals round about, and I think you would be the same as because when we went on the bus, like you know, we got to see the pals at school, and we used to have a club up at the school, and we see people once a week, and that was it. And then by phone calls, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So so tell me about the graduation, because I've never experienced that before. What was it like?
when you have to do the whole gown and all that, you have to do all that kind of stuff. It's a really good experience. I think my PhD particularly was like the most important graduation, I think, for myself and my dad as well, because I was the first in the family to graduate with a PhD. As in nice. the wider family as well, the extended family. So, and it was, my dad waited the whole 4 years of me doing my PhD to see me do that. So I think it was as much as an important day for him as it was for me. But yeah, you have to do the whole gown thing, and I remember my brother saying to me, he said nobody else would graduate with leopard print hair with a PhD, but there you go. He said, do you not want to do your hair normal for that day? And I was like, well, why? Because it wouldn't be me.
Yeah. At least it wasn't pink hair, Danielle.
No, it was black with different colour leopard print on that day, I think.
Oh, well, I think that's a wee bit better. I'm not actually sure.
But if I'd done it just a boring normal colour, it wouldn't be me, so.
No. Yeah, and I bet like your dad and your family, but also you, that felt proud as well.
Yeah, he did. He did, and it was, as long as it sounds, having the doctor title now, I think it helps me sometimes in business and stuff, because when I put Dr. Danielle Farrell in emails and things, people, I think sometimes it shouldn't, because it shouldn't make any difference what title or what name you use or whatever, but I think sometimes having that title lets people know that I actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I suppose it goes back to the subject I was talking about at college as well, that you're capable of doing things as well, and like there you are, you're like a doctor now, and whereas years ago people would write you off because like, and we've spoken about this a lot about people writing you off before they see your talents.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
Well, I never graduated at college. I just got a certificate.
But you've done a lot of other things in the past. Since we've been back in touch. I've seen you speaking at different events and things, and that's a major achievement, because not everybody could stand up there and tell a real story.
Yeah, well, I suppose like when I got my first job at the Scottish, well, they were called the Scottish Consortium for Learning Disabilities, and now they're called the Scottish Commission for Learning Disabilities, and that was my first kind of organisation that I worked for, and they were looking for one person to go out to speak about their experience and trying to knock down the barriers, as it were. I mean, everything that we've said so far about people with a disability, but they happened to appoint 7 people with learning disabilities, physical and learning disabilities. And I think I was the only one there with a physical disability. And you're right, because when I'd done my first presentation, I was a bit nervous. To be honest, I couldn't eat before my first presentation. And when I got when I've done more presentations, it's a bit like you as well. It becomes a bit second nature. It becomes a bit more easier. But I remember my dad and my mum saying, especially my dad, saying that, how can you stand up in front of people and speak? And I said, well, I just can.
My brother says that to me as well. He says you have far more confidence than I will ever have.
Yeah.
I think when you do it, I think you're just in that zone. So you just know what you know. So you're just doing what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got my job when I was 21. And that wasn't yesterday. But yeah, I done that, and SLD kind of helped my confidence in a way, because I had to do that. And I met people through my job. I met pals through the job, and that's the thing, because see, when you work, you get invited to nights out. Well, not at the moment, because
I'm not allowed out very much.
But back in the day when everybody was allowed out.
Before COVID.
Yeah. But no, I think it helps your confidence in a way. But I think what I was saying to you early on, Daniel, it dented my confidence in a way a wee bit when I left college to go to Marlborough College. So after Marlborough College, and I wanted to get a job and stuff, and it wasn't easy. So I went to the job centre, and I was working with the job centre for them to help me get a job or get work experience.
Yeah.
So they put me onto this scheme, Capability Scotland, and then they got me into Summerfield for 6 weeks. Now this was it without pay, but all I was looking for was a bit of work experience, Daniel. I wasn't bothered about the pay at that time, and so I was there for 6 weeks, and then the manager put me into the office in December, because I was there from October to November, sorry. And they said to me, Michael, I've got to offer you another 6 weeks. And I thought, oh, brilliant. I didn't really want to do shop work, but I just wanted more experience, because at that time I wasn't confident, Daniel. And my boss came in after the 6 weeks, and they said to me, Michael, there's no jobs here. And that was 12 weeks I was there for without any pay. And I felt kind of used in a way.
Yeah, because you said to me the last 12 weeks had covered the Christmas period as well.
Yeah.
So it would almost feel like they were correct me if I'm wrong, but they were using you to cover the Christmas period so that they wouldn't have to pay a member of staff to cover that period.
Exactly, because it was always a busiest time, and if it wasn't for Christmas, Daniel, I think they would have just let me go, and I wouldn't have minded. But for 12 weeks without pay, that was a bit kind of. And then I got my travel. All I was getting was my travel expenses to work, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I felt a bit annoyed and a bit used. So I went back to the job centre and reported it, and they sent a letter away to the shop. Obviously, we never heard back from the shop, but and stuff. But yeah, I felt kind of used and all that. So, but when I was doing that, I think you were working at, was it Cargom at that time?
Yeah, it was maybe a bit later than when you did Summerfield. It was, I think it was after I'd graduated with my PhD. I was obviously like you at that point. I was looking for employment, and it wasn't easy because people either said you're too qualified or whatever. But like you, Michael, I was just wanting to move on from my student career and get a job. I wasn't really caring what it was. And a lot of the time, I mean, now employers should be signed up to the disability confidence scheme, which means that if somebody with a disability applies for a job, if they meet the criteria of the job, then they should get an interview. But at that time, it was still the two-tick system, and I don't think many employers were adhering to it as much as they should. But with Cargom, I don't know if you're aware, but the Good Moves website tend to advertise a lot of jobs within the third sector, or sometimes specifically if an organisation is looking for somebody with a disability, they will advertise that too, and that's what Cargom had advertised for. They were advertising for a disabled graduate, and I applied and was successful. So this was for an internship, so initially it was for 3 months. I think it was either 3 or 6 months, but then it got extended to 9 months. So yeah, so I was a development worker, and that was really good, because unlike when I was a research assistant for the uni, I wasn't in a nice safe bubble anymore. Nobody knew Danielle, so I had to build those relationships and for people to get to know me, and I had to build my confidence being in a completely different environment with new people, and for them to see that my disability doesn't define me and I can do the job. I mean, I had support while I was in the workplace. Yeah, but it was me that were paying to do the job. So, and that's another big thing I'm sure we're going to discuss. The fact was they were paying me to do a job, so I was being paid like any other employee, even though it was an internship. So yeah, that was a good learning experience for me, but also for the employer, and I'm sure my line manager at the time would mind me sharing. It opened their eyes, because I think they were a bit naive and thought, okay, we'll advertise for a disabled person, and this will bring up our ratios of disabled people we employ. But to be fair, I don't think they looked at the bigger picture, as in what support I needed to be in the workplace to allow me to do the job. So I was saying things to them like, okay, I've got this job and I can do it, but I actually need a standard to allow me to be able to use the toilet when I'm in the workplace for 8 hours a day. And they were kind of like, oh, we had never thought of that, but I'll give them the due. They supported me, and it ended up they actually paid for the equipment, and then they were reimbursed from access to work. So yeah, but I think and the challenges I mentioned earlier as well was for my support workers to understand that their job was to support me, but they were supporting me to do my job. So for me and them, my line manager at Cargom, that was a bit of a challenge at first, and how I managed that, because they weren't being employed by Cargom to do the job, they were supporting me, so it was kind of, how do you manage that kind of balance in the workplace? But I think it was a learning experience for everybody.
I mean, I don't know much about Cargone, but like they've got a place in Glasgow.
Yeah, that's where I was in
Yeah,
Govan, yeah.
yeah, and stuff. Well, so how long were you there for, Daniel?
It was 9 months. It was 9 months for the internship. Um, and whilst there, I was kind of looking at more long term things, which obviously we'll go on to speak about. But
Yeah,
that gave me a chance to kind of realise myself that I could hold down a job.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's like you said,
Capability.
when you've had negative experiences like we have, or any other person with a disability have, it can knocks your confidence and make you question whether you actually can do things, even though you know you can. So being able to participate in the internship for 9 months just reinforced to me that actually with the right support I can hold down a job.
Yeah, well, that's clear. Yeah. I yeah, that's right because it doesn't matter if you've got a disability or not. Everybody's entitled to hold down a job,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's it, exactly.
And then so over the years, we've been back in touch as I said, but you've done well over the years because you've got your own business now.
Yeah, I am. Hey, I don't know if you can see it, but that's why I wore this post up this morning because it
Yeah.
has U's new logo on it.
All right.
So I knew that we were talking about employment today, so I thought that was quite related to it. So I thought I'll wear it. Plus, it's the first time I wore it, so. But yeah, I thought it would be relevant to today. But as you said, because of the challenges I was having applying for employment, I took the decision to start my own business, which was supported through the Pinterest Trust. It's not anymore. But initially, when we started, it was a Pinterest Trust supported business. And it's called Your Options Understood, or Use it can be abbreviated to. We're going through a whole rebranding and overhaul at the minute, because like other businesses, I wasn't sure how or if we would survive through COVID, but it's taken a unexpected journey. I'm just sort of embracing it at the minute. But yeah, through Your Options Understood, I use my first-hand experience and knowledge of living with CP to help and support others. So do that through a range of services, including advocacy, self-directed support advice and guidance, person-centred planning support, staff training and education, and consultancy, and really anything else in between that people feel they need support with. If I can, I will support them.
Yeah. So that's good. Um, and have you been working with a lot of people, Danielle, then?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's partly how you and I got back in touch because we're
Yeah.
connected to some of the newer projects that are happening at the moment, and we're working with some of the same organisations.
Yeah.
So I work with people like In Control Scotland, Partners for Inclusion. Um, I've helped individuals with person-centred planning and advocacy. I've done some work recently for the ILF, and for Your Options Understood. I'm trying to, like, as I've said, rebrand the business and make people know that I'm here or that you're here and what we do and how we can support. And in response to COVID-19, a lot of that has been moving things online to allow me to carry on supporting. And hopefully in the next few weeks, you will have an e-learning platform made available, which will allow organisations from pretty much anywhere to purchase the training that I've designed. So whether we get back to the stage of being able to deliver it in person if restrictions eventually allow, or the material that's available online, people will still be able to benefit from my first-hand experience. And without any disrespect to other training providers, I think that's where used training is different, because it is coming from lived experience as opposed to reading it in a textbook and thinking you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because we kind of go through it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I think that's why Yu's new tagline is so important. It is, what do I know? I only live it. Because I do live it, so I do know it. So yeah.
And you've got a website as well, Daniel.
I got some support to do a new website through lockdown as well, which is very pink, very colourful.
Very pink like your hair.
Yeah, very, very, very me, and very you as in the business. So yeah, I hope that the website portrays the message that I am you, or you is me, one of the two. I don't know what way you want to put that across, but yeah, because if you go onto the website, you'll see a better representation of the logo and the avatar than you can on my t-shirt, and I think the aim of that is for people to associate the logo and the avatar with me, because well, if you saw it more closely, you would see that the avatar pretty much is a cartoon form of me. It looks quite like me in cartoon, which is quite scary.
And got pink hair as well.
And it's even got pink hair and turquoise glasses.
So I mean, I've been quite busy as well.
Yeah, you do podcasts and all that a lot, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm basically leading the same line as you, a wee bit about advocacy and giving people.
Yeah, and we both vlog a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing vlogging for a bit longer than me, right enough. I'm just new to it.
Yeah, I started to vlog back in March, because everybody was saying to me before, "Oh, Michael, you should do vlogging," and I'm not really into that. But the more and more times I saw it on Facebook, I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I dig it, and it was to speak about disability and how the coronavirus affects people with disabilities and all that. But I've kind of moved away from that a wee bit, because I'm kind of speaking about other issues as well, because I don't want people to remember me as a one-trick pony.
Yeah, that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but apart from like vlogging as well, like I do podcasting for an organisation called Iris, and we do a lot of research. I mean, you were on one of my podcasts.
Yeah, we did it. That feels just at the start of lockdown. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I know. I know. It was only April or March, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Iris does like a lot of research into people with disabilities and mental health, and they work on a project called Iris FM, and it's more like a podcast. So I go about every month to interview different people about within the social care sector. So, I mean, for instance, I interviewed Danielle, but I'm going to be speaking to Danielle more about her business as well.
Yeah.
So, but as well as that, like I've moved into the big bag world of journalism.
Yeah, you do a lot of writing now, don't you?
Yeah, and I've not got a uniform, Danielle.
Right.
I just wear this old kind of like t-shirt. I work from home, so I do a lot of writing, and I do wee bits and bobs for like Radio Scotland. Danielle, you were on Radio Scotland last week.
Yeah, I was. Yep. You kind of helped me do that. You're helping me with some other stuff at the moment to try and get you out there and for people to know that we're here and that we can support people. So that's one of the things we're working together on at the minute.
Yeah, yeah, it's very exciting. So last year, I don't know if you remember this, Danielle, but like I got commissioned to do a news piece on the telly, and that was actually very exciting. I've never done anything like that before, and but it was about a boy going into a nightclub, and the bouncers thought he was drunk. I don't want to say the word pee. um, but yeah, the bouncers thought he was drunk, and it was because that he had cerebral palsy, and you know how like you can get different levels of
like us, we both have CP, but we're both differently affected.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and the bouncers didn't let him in because they thought it was drunk, but eventually he got in. So I got that commission off the BBC, but I thought it was quite sad as well, Daniel, because like the support agency that you get support from had to make an ID card up to say I'm not drunk, it's my disability, and I don't really like that kind of.
No, I don't like it either.
Yeah, it's going back to like the whole labeling thing again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so every time he goes out now, well, not at the moment, but every time he was going out, he had to carry an ID card about with him, and if anybody asks him why, you're drunk or anything, he would pull it out of his pocket and say, "No, I'm not," and this boy's like Baggett speaking as well, and so that was good, and then and then I'm doing me bits and bobs for the BBC social as well at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's quite good.
And we're both involved in Control Scotland's Tuesday Talks.
Yeah. You do the first one and I do the second Tuesday.
I do the first Tuesday of every month. And my slot is called Being Danielle.
Yeah.
So far I've done two. The first one was about shall we say assumptions being made about me and things, and we'll go on to speak about that in a bit, I guess. And yesterday's one I just used as a bit of a platform to practice for this and talk about barriers to employment in general for disabled people. That's a really good opportunity, and especially since the world has gone digital, so it's a way of getting ourselves out there, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for Danielle, just going to the thing they put it on the Facebook page, but you put it on your Facebook page.
Yeah, that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll be doing next Tuesday as well.
What's that?
You'll be doing next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday Talk.
Yeah, next Tuesday, yeah. I don't know what I'm doing it on yet, but I'll come up with something.
Yeah. I suppose one thing we should mention, like Tuesday Talks, and you talked about being commissioned by the BBC, so by being commissioned, that indicates that it's paid work.
Yeah.
As is Tuesday Talks. But you and I have recently had a conversation about the fact that somewhat that we do isn't paid and the assumptions are often made.
Yeah, that's a bit that's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But because we're nice people, sometimes we actually do it, but we need to learn
Yeah.
how to say no.
Yeah, because we need to make a living just like everybody else.
Yeah. And yeah, that really frustrates me because I've done some work for newspapers and I won't mention their names, but put it this way, the high profile papers and that they didn't pay me, but it was one of these ones where I'll say, well, I'll do it, won't I do it, kind of thing, and trying to.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but then I often come to the conclusion of, well, you want to get yourself out there and you don't know what might come of it, so you just do it anyway in the hope that something else comes of it.
Yeah, that's like me. We're off at a light, Danielle.
Yeah.
Apart from pink here. But yeah. I mean, I suppose that we could spend another hour speaking about like people not paying people and all that, but I think like people might get the gist of what we're trying to.
There was an instance where I was actually paid in vouchers for a talk that I gave.
Yeah, that's right. You were saying that.
Because the assumption was made, I found out later that if they'd paid me in money, that it would affect my benefits. But surely that would have been my decision to make, or should have been my decision to make. And for me, if I'm running my own business, that should be an indication to people that I would prefer to get paid. And I'm running my own business with the being able to come off benefits. Ideally, that would be my ideal goal for myself and my business. I'm not in this for the money, not at all. I enjoy what I do. My aim is to help people. So that's why I agreed to do so much voluntary, because I just wanted to help people and get the message out there and be part of changing the narrative for disabled people. So I don't want people to think that I'm in it for the money, because I'm totally not. But at the same time, I would just like.
But it would be nice.
The same respect. Yeah. As other people, and like we've said, when people are asking us to do things, especially in the disability world, they're paying for our first-hand experience and expertise, which non-disabled people can't provide. Yeah, well, I suppose like when I was speaking to you last week, Danielle, about what we were going to do here, right, and like the paper that I done an article in a couple of weeks ago, and it is a big name, and I've done the work, and then I'm going to be working for a disability apps kind of website, and they never mentioned payment to me, so that I never mentioned anything about payment, because I just don't do that, because it's a bit unprofessional for me to say, you know, where's the money, and I'll do the work. But I think sometimes you need to be able to say that sometimes, so that people don't make the assumption. Yeah. I hate it as well, but sometimes you have to. Yeah, but this kind of website that I'm telling you about, they emailed me back and said, yeah, if you do this work, we'll pay so much, you know, X amount of money. X amount of money. And I was thinking, well, surely that's an arts organisation's website, right? But compare that to the paper that I wrote for, and you know the name of the paper. I'm not going to say it here, but and you're thinking, well, here's a kind of no disrespect to this website, but here's a kind of a wee website compared to this big massive paper, and now disability website's paying me and the paper's not. Yeah. So I think it puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it's a bit unfair as well, but that's the way it kind of goes, you know. Yeah. But we've come a long way since we've left school, Danielle. Yeah, I mean, I think the most recent challenge for me was through lockdown when, like, I'm not going to mention any names, but assumptions were made by people who were supposed to be mentoring me in my business. Assumptions were made that my business would not exist after COVID-19 and that I wouldn't be working. And I should say these assumptions were made without even trying to contact me or speak to me. And it took me asking for support from my local province to actually address the issue. And this is what he was told by somebody that I'd worked with for 5 years. And it really made me angry, like you were saying earlier, Michael, because this person was supposed to know me after 5 years. People are working with me now. They've just started working with me through lockdown, and I'm coming to the conclusion they know me better after like 4 months, 5 months, than somebody who's worked with me for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I came to the conclusion that actually this person didn't actually know me or my business, because if they did, they would have realised that now more than ever, disabled people and the organisations that support them require support and services from your options understood more than ever as we move through the pandemic. So, yeah, that was a very hard pill to swallow during the last few weeks, that actually is somebody who is supposed to know me and be mentoring me just sort of assumed about me and turned his back on me, pretty much.
I mean, you told me that story, and I was annoyed for you, but also annoyed for people that actually say that to you. But imagine that you're only one person. You know, a lot of people with disability could be spoke to like that. And
you know, that's not way. Sometimes I have a voice, but other people don't.
But it's not fair to treat anybody like that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But so I better go, Daniel.
Yeah, I think we better.
It was nice to catch up with you.
Yeah, it was nice to catch up with you too, and hopefully by having this conversation, we've kind of shared the experiences and let people know the reality of what it's like being disabled and trying to find employment. Yeah,
and it will help people as well, hopefully, and knock down some more barriers.
Yeah, that's a key. Yeah, but yep.
Okay, I'll see you later, Daniel.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Michael.
Bye.
Bye.